Are you a people watcher? Do you like to watch people? I actually like to watch people watching other people. That's a whole nother story. Hi, I'm Coach Catherine, and today I'd like to talk to you about how to make a memorable first impression. A first impression is actually the first 4 to 7 seconds when you first see someone or are introduced to someone. That's all you get for a first impression. And during that time, you and the other person are literally making up your mind about 4 specific questions. Question number 1, do I like this individual? Number 2, do I think they're kind? Number 3, do I think they're intelligent? And number 4, will I buy from them? And by that I mean, will I buy their products, their services, their information, and ultimately, will I be influenced by them? And out of these 4 questions, do I like you? Do I think you're kind? Do I think you're intelligent? And will I buy from you? Which one do you think is the most important? If you pick the first question, do I like you, you'd be absolutely right. Because when we like people, we automatically think that they're kind. I mean, hey, who wants to hang out with mean people, right? And we think they're intelligent, and a lot of times even more intelligent than they actually may be. And we will buy their products and services. In fact, studies have shown that we will spend up to 30% more for a product and service from someone we like, even if it's of inferior quality. So how do we get someone to like us within 4 to 7 seconds? Well, it's very easy. And here's the key. People like people who are like themselves. Let me say that again. People like people who are like themselves. And by that I mean we want to get people to the common ground. Get them to what I call the me too. I like to vacation in Hawaii. Oh, me too. I like to ski. Me too. I like to shop in this grocery store after work. Me too. Well, if you don't like to ski, please don't agree with them. Instead, ask some clarifying questions such as, what do you like about skiing? And maybe they say, well, I love the thrill of being outdoors and pushing my body to the limit. Maybe you climb mountains, or you rock climb, or you snowshoe and you push your body. And so that's the common ground. Get them to the common ground, get them to the me too to make a memorable first impression. Let me give you a real life example. One of my clients by the name of Jim, very handsome guy in his 50s, very successful in business, not successful in love. He hired me because he wanted to find his life partner. And he was very uncomfortable approaching women and asking them out for a date. So I explained to Jim about how to make a memorable first impression, and I gave him the assignment to go to the grocery store, get some groceries in his cart, get in line, and within 2 to 3 minutes, find out 2 to 3 intimate details about the person next to him. So think about that for a minute. Does that make you comfortable or uncomfortable? Is that easy for you? Well, just to tell you, Jim was terrified. And he said to me, what on earth am I going to talk about? And I said, keep it simple. Use what you have around you. You're both in the same grocery store. You're both in the same line. Or look in your cart and look in theirs, and what you have in common, talk about that. So I went shopping with Jim. Of course, I went with him. I wanted to make sure he was doing the assignment. And he put groceries in his cart. In fact, he put Wonder Bread in his cart. And I thought, why is a grown man in his 50s eating Wonder Bread? But he was convinced this is what he wanted. He bought some other groceries. He got in line, and he stood in the longest line. And I thought, oh, there he is. He's going to make himself some extra time. But he stood next to a very attractive woman. And I thought, good, he's really pushing himself. And I watched Jim look into her cart, and I heard Jim say, hey. Now, side note, hey is a wonderful way to start a conversation. When we say hi or hello, people think, it's kind of tenuous, they're probably a stranger. And because they're not like me as a stranger, I'm not going to trust them, so I'm going to be a little uncomfortable. But when you say hey, typically we say hey to our friends, or if it's something important, like, hey, you dropped your purse. So he's off to a good start. And he says, hey, I noticed you have that Ezekiel bread in your cart. Do you like it? She had Ezekiel sprouted grains flaxseed bread. And remember, Jim had Wonder Bread. So is the bread same or different? It's very different, right? So I'm thinking, why is he talking about the bread? But the woman turned to look at Jim, handsome guy around her age. She smiled. Then she looked into his cart and saw his Wonder Bread. And predictably, she said a very curt, yes, I like the bread. And then she turned her body, giving Jim the cold shoulder, and put her arms across her chest, basically saying, this conversation is over. At which point I pulled Jim out of the aisle, took him over a couple aisles over to the bread aisle, and I said, what were you thinking? And he said, I looked into her cart, I saw the bread, and I thought, don't talk about the bread, don't talk about the bread. And what he had done was hypnotize himself, because we don't understand the subconscious brain, the word don't. And in fact, he had commanded himself to talk about the bread. For example, don't think of a red apple with a little green worm in it right now. You did, didn't you? And I wanted you to think about an orange, but because I used the word don't, it was a command. So I convinced Jim to try the Ezekiel bread. He bought the Ezekiel flax seed raisin bread, which is a really nice start, and it was on sale, so it was a good thing. He gets back into another line, and again, he's standing next to a beautiful woman. I'm thinking, hey, Jim, this is a great place for you to hang out after work. And he looks into her cart, and she has Ezekiel sprouted grains sesame bread. Well, it's on sale, and it's a great bread, and so he says the exact same words to this new woman. Hey, I noticed that you have that Ezekiel bread in your cart. Do you like it? And she turned to look at Jim, handsome guy. She smiled. She looked into his cart, and he now has Ezekiel bread. And predictably, she turned her body full on to face him, direct eye contact, leaning slightly forward, showing interest. And she said, oh, yes, I really like this bread. In fact, I've been eating it ever since my divorce. One intimate detail, because remember his assignment. And then she said, in fact, it's really helped my IBS. So if you don't know what IBS is, it's irritable bowel syndrome, which I think qualifies as another intimate detail. So he had done his assignment. And the woman kept talking and talking. She checked out, Jim checked out, and he comes around to me and he says, oh my gosh, she wouldn't shut up! Because Jim had found common ground. He'd gotten to the me too. And that's what you want to do to make a memorable first impression. In fact, Jim had gotten her to a value system, common ground, because Ezekiel bread is about health and wellness. And so when you get someone to a value system, what they believe, their worldview, maybe how they think about politics or their health, it's even a better common ground. So get people to the me too to make a memorable first impression. For more advice on dating and attracting love, go to my website, dateToMateSecrets.com, where you'll also find my ebook, First Glance, 7 Steps to Making a Memorable First Impression. Or you can go directly to firstglanceebook.com. I'm Coach Catherine. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.